Hey, what's going on YouTube? Alabama Reloader here. So I wanted to come to you today and do a quick update video on some additional range testing that I completed with the 280 Ackley Improved. Specifically regarding this bullet here, this is the Federal 175 grain tipped fusion bullet. I ended up picking up two of the 250 count boxes from AmericanReloading.com. These are pull bullets that they sell. You'll see them on their website periodically, but you guys have heard me talking about AmericanReloading.com for quite some time now, and for good reason, right? That you end up getting really good value from that website as far as the components you can get versus what they're charging to pay, to get them, right? So really good stuff. You can see some of these other boxes as well. All this stuff, has come from AmericanReloading.com. So shout out to those guys. And one of the things, so if you go back and watch not the first range session video or the first results video that I posted for the 280 Ackley, that was more geared toward the Hornady factory ammunition that shot like hot garbage, which was the 162 grain ELDX, the Precision Hunter stuff, right? So premium factory ammunition. I bought 3 boxes of it to kind of establish a baseline in this 280 Ackley, and it shot terribly. All 3 boxes, exact same lot number, and it was a dumpster fire, right? Came back, took the brass, just threw together some random hand loads using Midwest Powder's MP620. Also picked that up from American Reloading. And I tested a wide range of bullets. I went with the 140 grain Nosler ballistic tip, the 160 grain Nosler ballistic tip, this 175 grain Federal tipped fusion, and also tested some of the 160 grain McGuire ballistics and the 155 grain Federal terminal ascent. The terminal ascent, those were pull bullets as well. And between both of the Federals, both pull bullets shot really well, the tipped fusion and the terminal ascent. But with the tipped fusion, this was the target that I shot. So I loaded up three shot groups. Again, I was trying to cast a pretty wide net. 50.5, 52.5, and 54.5. So I was jumping 2 grains with each group, and you can see the velocities listed there: 2600, 2700, and 2800, and of course the group sizes. So I wanted to circle back. I had 9 more pieces of brass that I wanted to load up, so I wanted to circle back and test this middle charge weight. This was the 52.5 grain charge weight, so I loaded that up, those 9 rounds, with that same charge weight, seated the bullet to 3.330 inches, so that's the cartridge overall length. The touch point's like 3.341, 3.345, somewhere in that range, so it's only about, anywhere from 10 to 15 thou of jump. But I tested that, I came back, retested this middle charge. That's what it shot at 100 yards. That came in just slightly better than the first range session. So this ended up being like 0.6. This is the thumbnail for the video. So this ended up being like a 0.6 inch group. And there's not necessarily a point of impact shift between the 2 sessions. I simply adjusted the scope. So just in case you're like, oh, well, it shifted up and left. No, it didn't. I moved the scope. So point of aim, point of impact, good stuff there. 0.6 inch group at 100. And if that shot well, my plan was to shoot a 3-shot group at 300 yards. And then if that shot well, save the last 3 for my last opportunity during hunting season, which is coming up on Monday. Today's Friday. Monday the 10th is the last day of whitetail deer season here in the state of Alabama. And I'm taking off work to go sit in the deer woods. That's the plan. But I shot that 300 yard group, and this is what that charge did. So 2.122 inches. That's it. Good enough. Load development done. Because so the way I look at this, right? again, I've mentioned this time and time again on the video. I've never taken a shot on an animal beyond, on a deer, on a whitetail deer, beyond 185 yards. I have taken, I did kill a hog. It was about 275 yards, but on a deer, I've never taken a shot on one beyond 185 yards. And I would say generally 300 at in is where I'm going to feel most comfortable taking a shot on an animal. Now with this particular setup, my confidence in a further shot is going up, right? We'll say the level, just the very initial testing that I've done, very basic initial testing I've done in this rifle. Again, it's a Tikka T3X that was previously chambered in 270 Winchester, had heavy precision over in Huntsville, Alabama. Those guys rebarreled it to 280 Ackley. The very limited testing I've done so far with sort of a handful of bullets and one powder, this thing's shooting really, really well. Again, it's got a 3-9 by 50 scope on it. So it's not like I've got my Athlon Optics Midas TAC, 5 to 25 by 56 on there, where, it's got an extremely tight point of aim, right? Aiming point that you can use. Because that's one of the things that, like, so at 100 yards, these 3/4 inch dots, right? These are 3/4 inch dots at 100 yards with that 3 to 9 by 50 scope. The crosshairs covers up the entire dot. Okay, I know when I can't see the dot, that's about as tight as I can possibly hold at 100 yards with that scope. All right. Now the difference is, let's just do it for instance. The difference is with like that Athlon Midas TAC that I have, the 5 to 25, I've got it on 15 power, right? It's on my 6.5 Creed, but I've got it on 15 power. And for instance is, I can put the floating center dot will only cover up that bullet hole. Okay, so I literally can just put the floating center dot right on that bullet hole and still see the rest of the of the dot, right, of what I'm aiming at. So that makes a massive difference when you're trying to shoot small groups, right, and trying to really wring out as much precision as possible and sort of test the capabilities of your system. That makes a massive difference. So for now, that 3 to 9 is staying on there simply for hunting season. Once hunting season's over, I'm going to pull that off. I'll probably put that Athlon on there, and then we'll really see, what type of precision and accuracy we can get out of that setup. So I'm looking forward to that. But this is very promising. Again, pull bullets with Midwest powders. It's just, I couldn't be happier, right, with how this shot. 2.122 inches at 300 yards. And the way I had this set up, I had like a 2-inch, there was a 2-inch red circle above this. I had this stapled to the target, and I had measured from this edge to the center of that 2-inch circle was exactly 1 inch. And so that way I could get a good idea of the drop that I was seeing. And I did have some wind that day, so this was the 140 grain ballistic tip load that shot really well so far. So you can see it kind of shifted to the right a little bit. I was dealing with some wind. That was more wind related, because that's going 31, 35. This is 2700. So, but really happy with how that worked out. So that left me with 3 more of these guys. That's what I'm taking into the deer woods on Monday. We'll see how it does. Once Monday has come and gone, hopefully I kill something. And if I don't, then I'm just gonna run to the range, shoot those 3, and then that way I'll have all of the brass, all 60 pieces ready to go. And once I fire these 3, I will be at 120 rounds down the barrel. Okay, all of this brass here is in a twice fired state except for these 3. All right, these have only been fired once. So once I get that done, 120 rounds down the barrel, I'll get the scope swapped over, and then we can really kind of dive in on some more load development, especially around bullets that I'm pretty excited to test with, which would be things like the McGuire ballistics, these Barnes TSX bullets, obviously some more of these 175 tipped fusion. I've got 500 of them, so got plenty of those we can play around with different powders. But that's it. That's where we're going to leave it. I just kind of wanted to bring you guys an update, specifically regarding these tipped fusion bullets. I mean, hopefully they work great. I would really like to get a shot at something. Where I'm going to be hunting on Monday, it's got to be a buck, and it's at least got to be a spike with the spike. I believe it's like 1 inch above the brow line. It's got to have visible antlers, right? I need something to walk out on Monday. Even just a spike, I don't care. I'm not a trophy hunter. I like deer meat. I like eating deer meat, so I just need something to walk out so I can hopefully test these guys out and see how they do in the field. Because right now they're shooting really good at paper targets, but we'll see how they do on game animals. So that's it. That's where we're going to leave it. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I just wanted to bring you an update on this, and we'll catch you next time. Y'all have a good one.